All right, so how do you fix that? Let me share with you what we got to do to make it happen, Cap'n. Hey guys and gals, it's Mr. Know-It-All here, and I've got to share something with you on this beautiful Pensacola day. All right, guys and gals, we're getting ready to dig into a pretty extensive repair. And I want to help you raise those poles that are sinking on your deck, on your pole barn, whatever it may be that's sinking into the ground because whoever built it didn't put enough concrete down below, and or the ground was soft so it settled. But you can see this from this carrier right here all the way across. It's lower on this end. It's doing this number. Okay, so we have to lift that corner pole right there up, and I'm going to share with you the best, easiest, fastest way to do that. You'll need a few tools, a wheelbarrow, a couple shovels, maybe a pry bar, a floor jack, and a jacking pole, which could be a 4x4 or what have you. And you're going to need some T30 Torx screws and a really good screw gun. All these tools, Hoolio. Tell everybody where all the tools are located.
Buscar en el show más de la descripción de video para todas las herramientas.
Thank you, Julio, Cesar, Chavez, Rodriguez, Jorge Johnson, Ted Nugent. He's got a new name. He's thinking about Kid Rock and calling himself Kid Julio, but I'm trying to keep him from doing that. So anyhow, back to business. Let's get this done. All right, I want to share with you how far out of level this is. You see that bubble? It's supposed to be not there. It's supposed to be right there-ish. So that gives you about 1.5 inches from this end. That's how low that is. Oh, there's a chameleon.
He's helping.
He's helping us out. There he goes. Go eat bugs. All right, so anyhow, make sure you have your OSHA approved work shoes on. Nobody wears shoes in Florida, so anyhow, we're going to release this from the concrete down below the dirt and raise this pole up. But before we do that, we want to make sure we reinforce the carrier into the pole, so when we go to lift on the carrier here, we're going to push up that it doesn't come off the pole. So we're going to put a few of these really awesome T30 Torx bolts in there. These are awesome. So 2 there should be good, and then we'll do 2 on the front here. And then we'll do 2 here, 1 here and 1 up in there. Now we're secure that this is locked to the pole good, because like I said, we're going to be lifting from here to lift the pole up out of the ground. I gotta dig carefully because I don't know where the sprinkler lines are at. I don't know what I'm gonna run into when I get down here, but we're gonna find out. Lots of roots though, I know that. And it could get loud out here today because the Blue Angels are practicing. And usually if there's a sprinkler line, I'll find it by cutting through it accidentally.
Pretty thick, huh?
Yeah. Alright, pretty thick. It's about 6 inches thick. I'm pretty sure that the pole is encased in the concrete, but they could have just poured a footing and set the pole on top. But we're going to find out here in about 2 seconds. I have my helper Lily here. She's got to be involved in everything, especially when it comes to dirt. She likes to dig. All right, now we're going to take the BFH 20-pound Sludge-O-Matic. Well, here's what we got. The pole is rotted at the bottom. It's all soaking wet. So, needless to say, we have got to replace the pole, and that's more extensive. Here's what would have happened. Let me tell you. There's the pole encased in the concrete, and the pole's all rotted. So I have to dig this out, get that out of there, and then I'm going to pour my concrete in there and make a footing about 8 inches thick, really pack the dirt down, because I have to replace the pole. So with that, if you were to do this job, because this is the video, if you were to do this job and your pole was good, you would bust the concrete off the pole and get it out of there. You would then pour your concrete up underneath the pole after you raise the pole up to the height that needs to be. And I'll show you what you would have done. And this is all because we have to change this up, because now it's a rotted pole and this has got to be replaced. So if the pole was good, you got the concrete off, you would come over here and you would put your 2x4 or your 4x4 up underneath the carrier. All right, now if you look down here, this is how awesome this project works. If you look right down here, watch that pole. See that, how it lifted it up? So now the pole's loose. Now if we take our level and we put it up here, it's much better already. It's only about 3/4 of an inch. So that will go up like right there-ish. We're getting it. Now it's only off about 3/8 of an inch or 1/4 or so. Pretty close. Oh, you gotta go just a little bit. So you would just jack it up until you get it to the level you need. And I suggest using a 4x4. I mean, there's some tension on that 2x4. I mean, if you're jacking and it's not lifting and the 2x4 is starting to buckle, you will snap the 2x4. So just use a 4x4, you'll be good. So here's how high we've lifted it. That's completely rotted. So that means I get to take out the screws that I just put in there, pull all the nails, pull these braces off, notch out the 4x4 like I've got here, and go down there and dig this thing out. So I'm probably going to need 2 bags of cement now. So that's all you'll do. You'll lift it up, put your 8 inches of concrete in the bottom, let it harden up good, so when you set the pole back down, it's got a good hard base to set on top of, and you just lower the pole back down in there. But the whole idea was to bust this concrete away from there, and it just showed the weakness of that right there. But that's what happens when the pole's not completely encased in concrete all the way up to the grade level, up to this level of dirt here. The concrete needs to be to that level when you're doing poles. People will tell you you don't have to, but this is about 20 years old, so kind of normal to have that happen. All right, so how do you fix that? Let me share with you what we got to do to make it happen, Captain. All right, so how do you get the big 40-pound chunk of concrete without making a hole as big as a swimming pool out of there? Well, if there's a piece of the pole still sticking out of there, you put a nice big C-clamp on it, put your come along on it, and go up and wrap a strap around your carrier and jack it up. Let's see if it works. And of course, my luck, where I'm sharing this with you, it'll snap off there and go down the hole. But what I'm going to do is, I need a 10-foot pole, replacement pole, and I'm going to fill the bottom of that hole with about 8 inches of concrete and let it harden up real good. All right, so what I did was, I poured a full bag of concrete in there. I got about a 8 to 10 inch footing underneath that, and then I'll encase the whole pole in concrete, and I'll mix the concrete in the wheelbarrow and dump it in there so that it goes around the back side of the pole as well. All right, our fast setting cement is hard down there. We've got about 8 to 10 inches thick, so there's a great footing. And I'm going to share with you how to not waste concrete and make your own sonotube. One of those right there. It's cardboard. They call them form tubes, but it's in the concrete world, it's called a sonotube, and they're 20 bucks. So you can take any 5-gallon bucket that you need. I need one about 13 inches tall. Keep your eyes peeled, and I'll show you how to do it for nothing. This is on our series, Saving Pennies to Bennies. So we can return that because we don't need it. And I need this bucket right here, and I need it to be 13 inches tall. And we're only going to cut out of it about 2/3 of the center of it here. That way when you pour the concrete inside, it keeps the bucket down. If you cut the whole bottom off it, the concrete gets underneath it. The hydraulics of the concrete will push the bucket up, and then you're in trouble. So let's get cutting. Now we'll cut the bottom out. Like I said, we'll leave about that much that we don't cut out. And we'll just cut a square out of it. And this will allow the pole to set on our concrete footing down there. That's it. The pole will set on the footing, and concrete will go down through that hole just enough, and we don't have to worry about it. It will be in there rock solid. That's how you make your own concrete sonotube. I might have to cut a notch out of that backside so that it misses the concrete slab here. So we'll do that. There we go. Perfect. And that will be just the right amount of concrete to do the job, to hold that pole from going anywhere. And we've got it low enough that the grass will still grow over the top. Now I know it's a little windy today, and I apologize for that. Now, we put these torque screws in right here. We have to take those out. You will never cut through those with a demolition blade, and it's a lot easier to cut the nails out than to try to dig them out and damage your wood. So we're going to cut these nails 1, 2, 3, anywhere it's attached to the carrier where this pole is attached. That pole's got to come out. We're going to cut the nails that are down through here and on the other side. Anything attached to that pole is coming off. We should be able to pull the pole right out of there. Use it as a template measure down to our concrete footing up to this edge right here where we have to notch it. All right, let's take out our torque screws. This is your normal Sawzall blade. This is a carbide tipped demolition blade, and this thing is bad to the bone. So we're going to use this. Still got all the teeth still connected to it. We're going to cut those nails there. See how easy that went through it? These things are awesome. I'm not kidding you. Look at that. Completely loose. We'll do the other side. We're doing it blindly. She's loose. Should be able to pull that out of there now. Theoretically. We're going to try cutting that again. There's got to be one nail holding. There it is. And everything's still standing. That's amazing. There's our template right there for the new pole. All right, there's our new pole. 10-footer. All we got to do is transfer that notch into the new pole, and then we're going to use the Sawzall to cut the notch. You can use anything you want. You can use a circular saw or whatever you want to do. Cutting off the right length, that's what we want to do. We want to make sure our carrier that was sagging is level before we take the measurement from the concrete footing up to the notch right here. And I had to sort through quite a few boards to get one that wasn't twisted and one that wasn't bent. And we'll just transfer that all the way around with the old square, speed square. Sorry about that, I gotta lift it up here. And then, as many of you know, you always X the piece that you're either cutting out or not cutting. That's when we're cutting out. Like I said, you can use a circular saw. Set your blade depth to that if you want, but and to keep a straight line, I always put a cut down the back side here, and it helps to keep your cut straight. Perfectly 90 degrees, nice and flat here. All we got to do is measure from here, where that would go, where the carrier would rest, to the concrete footing. But we want to make sure that that carrier right there is level. So within 1/8 of an inch, up one little bit. Dead on. So now we take the old Milwaukee tape measure and we measure from that spot right there down to the concrete footing. This has got to be precise, especially if you want it to be level, not off 1/4 inch. So I'm going to be in your way here a little bit, but excuse me for that. Sorry about that. We're 105 1/4. That's what we got to cut the end of the pole off at. All right, we marked it 105 1/4. I'm going to do this the cheater's way. Be right back. Now we'll transfer that line all the way around. This concrete chunk here is panning out to be a pretty good sawhorse. Well, if you're still with us, thank you. Now the cheater's way is probably using the most versatile one-handed chainsaw you can get your hands on. The lightest chainsaw as well. This thing is a beast, and I'm not kidding you. I'm not just saying that. We're not being paid to share that. I'm just telling you that it's a beast. All right, let's see how good we did. I'm just kidding you. Can you see that? 105 1/4. Dead nuts, as we say in the tool and die trade. Theoretically, that should go right down in there. Pour the concrete in, put some screws in it to hold it, and it's done, other than cleaning up the mess. Let's see. I backed her up a little bit. I'm running out of battery, but we'll see what happens. All right, we're gonna use that beast right there to notch this out, and I marked it with this piece of pole right here. That's how much wider it is. So I got to carve that out, and I'm going to clean up some of that slag in there. There we go. We did it. Now we should be able to slide the pole in. I'm going to get the pole down in there and before I concrete it. But I'm running out of battery and I'm running out of card. But never knew that it takes so many tools to do your own job. But you think what it would cost to pay somebody to do that? Wouldn't be good. So I had to cut about 1/4 inch out of that, maybe more. So I'll be back and show you what I finished up with. All right, we got it in. There it is right there. All we got to do is fasten all the braces. And down here, we got the bucket up there. And when we moved it up in there, it sealed off the backside where I cut the bucket out. So we'll be able to fill that with concrete. Small gap there to mortar in. And the pole is perfectly level. As you can see. Maybe a C hair off, but pretty good. That gap there means the pole in there before was not level. So won't be a big deal, but it is a lot bigger than the original pole. But she's in, and let's see if we got level up here. Pretty good, I can live with that. New pole's in. And we just fasten her down. All right, there it is, finished. Took one bag to fill that homemade sonotube. I had a little bit of concrete left, maybe half a shovel I put down at the bottom. Got to shovel all that dirt back in, and the pole is up there, rock solid, and it's not going anywhere. Talk about opening up a can of worms on this project. All right, we got her all done, and we took a little bit of the concrete we had and filled the gap around the back side of the pole at the bottom there. Again, Mr. Know-It-All, out.